All righty. How's everybody doing this afternoon? I guess it's just now afternoon. Doing well? Awesome. So a little background on who I am. I'm Sean Moriarty. I am the co-owner and the social media guru for Animus Marketing. If you had been to the other two parts of this presentation, you saw Tyler. Tyler focuses more. He's very, very savvy when it comes to SEO and Google AdWords. When I partner with him, I'm kind of the person that handles social media, social advertising, and some content marketing and a little bit of video. I wanted to thank, Mary's already gone, but I wanted to thank her and Fort Lewis College and the Southwest Business Development Center for letting us kind of help you guys out with social media. So before we start getting into some deep dive stuff, I'm not sure how savvy that you guys are, and I apologize if this is a review for certain of these terms, but I wanted you guys to know what they were in case you didn't. So impressions. When you see how many impressions that your content got, that means how many times your poster ad was seen in someone's newsfeed. That doesn't mean how many people. That's just how many times that it was seen. Now reach, oops, sorry, did it go? There we go. Reach is how many different people saw your poster ad. So you'll notice on some social media platforms, this is how many impressions you got, but this is how many people you reached. And that's how many different accounts actually saw it. Engagement is how often, how many times someone liked, loved, laughed at. You see that Facebook has all those options now. Clicked on or commented on your poster ad. Organic, I'm sure you guys know about this. Organic is any reach or engagement that you receive on a post without paying for it. And then the opposite of that would be paid on Facebook or Instagram when you're paying to get your content disseminated to more people. Then algorithm, I'm sure some of you remember this word. It's a process or set of rules to be followed in calculations or other problem-solving operations, especially by a computer. And our first part today is going to talk about Facebook's algorithm and exactly what they've done to business owners. I'm sure that you have been frustrated if you've been posting from your business on social media. You've seen that reach and those impressions go down. And lastly, a little marketing term here, ROI means return on investment. I'm sure most of you know what that one is. So let's start with Part one, Facebook's algorithm. Now, Facebook's algorithm changes over the past 5 years have hurt business owners. They've told people that it is to enhance the user experience. They have created this set of rules essentially so that you have to pay. They say that it's better for the user experience, but really what they did was they got all these business owners hooked on all the awesome impressions and reach that you were getting organically, and then slowly scaled it back so that now you have to pay them for advertising. Now we're going to talk about that near the on the third part of this presentation, but I wanted to discuss this at first just so that in case any of you were wondering, why is it that nobody's seeing any of my content anymore? It's not your fault, okay? It's not your fault, it's Facebook's algorithm. So the organic reach for posts by business pages has dropped significantly and increasingly since about 2014. Depending on who you talk to, it's dropped as much as 50%, which is significant when you're trying to market your business on something as robust as social media. Anybody look like this when this was happening? No? So what do you do now? Well, there's two ways that you can go about it. One is reevaluate how you're posting content organically. It's not just, I'm just going to post this picture, I'm just going to post this text-only post, or I'm going to post this link. You kind of have to be measured and know what you're doing a little bit to enhance your organic reach. So basically what I'm saying is, we're going to talk about advertising later, paying for the paid advertising and how to do that correctly and how to do that with the best return on investment. But first, I want to tell you all how to enhance your organic strategy. More posts is not the answer. Now, the knee-jerk reaction for a lot of people once these algorithm changes went through was, well, I guess I'm just going to have to post 3 or 4 times a day. You're actually damaging yourself a little bit posting that many times a day. You're going to annoy your followers, and Facebook's algorithm is actually going to punish you a little bit. If you post 3 things a day, you're also going to risk having repeated verbiage. Now, take a note on this. Repeated verbiage, if you, for example, if you're a restaurant and you're posting a special and you say the exact same, here is our cocktail special for the day, and you say it the same way over and over again, Facebook's going to penalize you, and it's going to show that to even less people. If your post usually is seen by 500 people, you're looking at 52 to 100 people probably that are going to see that if you keep repeating verbiage and you post too often. Quality is always better than quantity. So you could do better with 1 to 3 posts a week on your Facebook page or your Instagram page, as long as you've put the effort into making it high quality content, than just posting constantly to your page with throwaway links or pictures that don't have a good description or without actually linking to your website, because a lot of what you do on social media is trying to get more traffic to your website. Mix it up and offer value to your followers. Now, this seems very vague, so I'm going to expand on that now. When I say mix it up, what I'm talking about is you got to have a healthy mix of links, shares, photos, videos, creating event posts. I see a lot of businesses around here that don't take advantage of creating event posts. When you post about an event on Facebook and you just put it into a normal organic post, it's not going to be seen by as many people as if you go to the events manager and you create an event post with an engaging photo. Yes, in the back.
Question.
Yeah.
You said if you post the same thing over and over again, let's say you do like a Facebook Live video every Saturday at 8 o'clock, are you also going to get?
No. That's, in fact, having something as frequent and something that your users can count on like that, that's fine. If you were doing it every day, 2 or 3 times a day, that's what I'm talking about. And Facebook Live for video, that's a Facebook Live video, you can do that almost as much as you want because Facebook loves when people put their video content up and it's really engaging. That's part of their wanting to enhance their user experience. Video gets a lot, and because we're talking about this section here, video is probably the highest quality content that you can get on your Facebook page. It'll get more organic reach. When you boost it, you'll see more return on investment. And right above, or right below event post, I'd say is the second most valuable here. When I say links, I mean linking to relevant content for your business. So Jenna, you own the Bookcase and Barber, so sharing links to cocktail recipes, sharing links to videos about how bitters are made or how to infuse your own vodkas and things like that. So make sure that when you're sharing the links that it's something that your followers are going to actually want to engage with. They follow you because they like your business, so make sure that it's business relevant links. When I say shares, a lot of people don't do this either, but you can go on and share content that other visitors are posting to you or that you see from other businesses, because it's not only just scratching the back of other local businesses and then they see that as some value and they'll do the same for you, but sharing stuff from your followers, people love it. It's that dopamine release when they see that a business that they love has actually shared their content, and they're going to want to engage with you more and they're going to hang out on your page much more. So that's mixing it up. That's one of the main things for your organic strategy is don't just post photos, don't just post links. Mix it up, have a different kinds of content all the time.
Quick question. When you
Yes.
do video, if I create a video and put it in YouTube,
Yes, sir.
link it in Facebook.
So you can do that, but Facebook gives so when you post a link to YouTube content in Facebook, Facebook sees that as a link, and links get less reach than content that is posted directly to their video platform. They want you to play in their space. So I would say post it to YouTube to use for linking on Twitter or for sending emails out or for embedding it in emails or anything like that, but you want to also put it up on Facebook. There are also little tags that you can put on it to get, like I frequently put Southwest Colorado as one of the tags so that people can stumble upon content from this area because they're just looking for Southwest Colorado specific video. I'd say you definitely post it to Facebook. Then their video upload is very, very simple.
Do they have limits on size or length?
Nope, they don't. Nope, they don't have limits on size or length, although for length, depending on what it is, if it's something that's supposed to be promotional, honestly, 15 to 30 seconds. People's attention spans on social media are pretty short and you're going to want to grab them quick. And if you put a 30-minute video on there, you can see the metrics later. You'll see how many people drop off after about 30 seconds and then how many people drop off after about 90 seconds. It's huge. It's different. It depends on what you're doing. If you're putting up, let's say Tracy here is doing a video about training dogs. If someone has a problem with their dog and was willing to sit there for 30 minutes, that's awesome, but that's probably something you want someone to pay for anyway, rather than just disseminating that on social media.
So where do you guys gather most of your market research? Is that done internally, or?
Yep, we gather most of our market. So what's unique about this, we get our market research for best practices overall for social media, which you can find on resources like Moz.com, or you can find on tons of different industry standard blogs. But a lot of what we've learned is this market's very different. I'm sure you all realize that. You can't apply things that would work in New York City to stuff that's going to work with the users in Durango and with the people that come visit Durango from Oklahoma, Arizona, Texas. So we've put together a lot of our own data for what works in this market specifically as well.
Okay, in the localized area.
Yep.
Okay.
So the 80-20 rule. You can be a little lax on this. It doesn't have to be exactly, but use this as a good guideline. 80% fun, non-promotional content, and only 20% promotional content. You should be sharing fun things, great things that show value to your followers, and not just constantly posting, happy hour is 3 to 5, or we have a special on wine this week, or we have a special on, throw out another example. Sorry, I come from restaurant marketing at first. There you go, for dog training classes or for furniture sales. If all you do is that's very much what traditional media is, but social media is not traditional media. People want to interact and people want to comment on things. You know, you can't get that with a commercial that's on TV, and you can't click on an ad that's in the newspaper and give your feedback or ask more questions. So knowing that this is what the industry standard is, 80% non-promotional, 20% promotional. Now when I say that, some people get a little scared and they go, well, now I can't promote anything. There's a big difference between overtly and passively promotional. If you're overtly promotional, that's when Facebook's going to ding you and not disseminate your content very well. If you're passively promotional, for example, let's say that you have a business that just got new t-shirts and hats. Now, if you say, our t-shirts and hats are this price and go to our website and buy them here, that's going to be overtly promotional. But if you just show a really cool picture of somebody on the river or on a trail and they can see the back of the shirt and you just put something with a couple emojis that says, another beautiful day in Durango, that is not overtly promotional content, but you're still promoting that gear that you just released at your place. You guys get a decent idea of what I mean for overtly versus passively promotional? Yes?
The first two classes were really helpful for our business, but this one I would need some help with because we manufacture caskets.
You manufacture caskets, yes. So, and certain things don't work for every kind of business. So you have to be very measured with the certain things that you're posting. I know, and I've dealt with many people that work in the funeral business, and it takes a lot of work to figure out exactly how to present yourselves without, upsetting, offending people, or being too fun. You can't do really fun posts. And I'll be able to touch on this in just a little bit when we get to the next slide, because that's a very interesting thing you brought up. I'm actually glad that you did it. Okay, so I said mixing it up and offering value to your followers is a big deal. So when I say offering value, what I mean is doing things like asking questions and starting conversations. This is how your content's going to be seen by more people. If you ask a question or start a conversation saying something that interests your followers, the more comments that you get, the more often it's going to show up in people's news feeds. Anybody want to volunteer a question that they could ask from their business's perspective? Tracy?
I usually post a picture of what I do on Sunday with my dogs and then say, what are you doing with your dogs?
There you go. And it's very simple. It's not a super hard question that someone's going to be uncomfortable answering or that's going to take them forever to figure out how to answer it. They can easily go, oh, we went hiking, or oh, we went on the river, or oh, we went and did paddleboarding in Vallecito. So asking questions and starting conversations is a big deal. This one's a little more challenging to do, and it requires building a content calendar and actually following up. Tell a story. Have 3 or 4 pieces of content that you're going to post throughout the week that tells a little bit of a story. People want to follow stories. They want to be entertained when they're on social media. It doesn't necessarily have to be that entertaining too. It has to be captivating. It shouldn't be too hard. You guys know your businesses very well, and figuring out a captivating way to get people interested in what you do isn't always that challenging. For you though, I can see with the casket manufacturer, it can be, telling a story might not be the way that you want to go for this. A lot of the content that you're going to do is posting things. I've seen blogs that say what to do. You guys know what list articles are? They're the very popular content you see on blogs that always have a number in it, like the 5 ways to optimize your blah, 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 or the 6 ways to prepare for a trip, and travel tips and things like that. For you, I would say, there are blogs that I've seen that are like, what are the 5 things you need to think about first when a loved one passes away? Things like that, offering them value, offering them a resource to content that someone that's looking to buy a casket or has bought one and is going to be buying one anytime soon, that's something that they're going to probably find valuable. That's something that they're going to want to save because they're going to be like, these are great tips, because you're so overwhelmed with grief, you can't think about the logistical things that happen when a loved one passes away. Help them solve a problem or answer a question. So if you're a plumber, post a link to a blog that says, this is how you can fix a clogged drain before you actually have to call a plumber. Don't just dump Drano down there. You can have a great blog that explains to them, these are the steps on exactly how you fix that. Now, a plumber would be like, well, I want them to just call me and I want them to give them money. The way social media works, you have to offer them a little value. You kind of have to give away a little bit of your trade secret for free just to get more people involved and to get more people to follow you on social media. All right. When in doubt, entertain. Now when I say that, when people think of entertainment, They think you should make them laugh, but you can also make them cry. My stepmother over here is very, very good at this. Because she is a dog trainer, she does post about animal abuse sometimes, and it gets people up in arms. People hate when they see dogs being abused. Every now and again, you post something like that, though, all of a sudden people are commenting, I can't believe this person's allowed to live after doing this thing to their dog, and so on. So when I say entertain, that just means getting a rise out of somebody emotionally, whether it's laughter, sadness, whatever you're doing, as long as you can get them to engage with you because what you're doing is entertaining. I mean, because think about it. There's some really depressing movies, but we still find them entertaining, correct? Right, awesome. Now, the next section here is the part that people find the most challenging to keep up with. Is engaging with your followers and other businesses is key. You can't just post to your Facebook or your Instagram. If you see people commenting, you have to make sure that you are liking and responding to people's comments. Some people don't like to call a business or email a business or even send you a private message. Sometimes the question that they have or the review that they have or the concern that they have comes through on a comment on your posts. Make sure that you're paying attention to those comments and you're liking or reacting however you like to it. If someone says something really mean about your business, you can always click that little angry face instead of clicking a heart or a like button. You should answer every private message in a timely manner. If you notice that Facebook has a little thing right below where it says home and about that says likely to respond, how likely are you to respond to messages? And has a green or has no line at all telling you how responsive that you are as a business to messages. The more responsive you are, the more people are going to reach out to you there. I know it can be a pain in the butt, especially when you have so many different venues for people to give you feedback or ask you, but it's really important, I think, because some people just want to detach. They don't want to call you on the phone. Society's changed quite a bit. They'd rather send you a text message or they'd rather send you a message via Facebook. So it's very important that you answer those messages in a timely manner. And when I say timely manner, at least the day of, you know. I would check once a day about. Any questions right now? Yes.
So whenever they like a page, how's the way to engage it?
What do you mean when they like your page?
Like say I have a hunting ranch, so it's a page, and so a lot of pictures and information, and they like it, but...
Yeah. Oh, so once they like it, you can't engage with that specifically. But if they commented on it, you would want to like their comment. That's all. So once they give something valuable like that, if they just like it, you can't like someone's like. That would make Facebook very, very cluttered. But when they like your page, it's not necessary to reach out to them and say, thank you so much for liking our page or anything. It's really only when they're engaging with your content specifically that you should be liking or responding to their comments, and especially their questions. If one of their comments is a question, get to that as soon as possible. Like I said, people's attention spans are short these days, so when you don't respond to them, they might just check out and go, oh, they don't care. That business owner doesn't think that I'm worth a darn.
What about when they tag a person, like you comment, you put something on, like,
Oh, yes.
this is like the 5 best things to do, and then they tag a friend.
Just tag a friend, always like that. The more, as you engage on their things, that as you click like or love or whatever on each of their comments, that is going to increase your newsfeed visibility. And when you respond with another comment, that count, even though it's you, that counts as another comment. So if you see the business owners that have 4 or 5 comments, and underneath each one of those is a comment from the business owner, that's about 10 comments. That's getting vastly more newsfeed dissemination than if you hadn't done that with that content. Yes, sir?
So when you first post something, does it help if you like it and then make a comment?
See, ideally you shouldn't do that because it just looks kind of gauche, liking your own content and things like that. And it can be challenging too, especially on your phone when you don't realize that you're liking something as your business and as yourself. That's why I try to stick, some of those things, try to stick to a laptop or a desktop computer. And Facebook's apps change all the time. I'm sure you've noticed that, and it can be frustrating. So if you go to the Facebook app, you should have an easier time than if you're in your business manager's app. There's a whole nother app for just managing businesses. Utilize that as much as possible because you can have all of your messages, all of your reviews, and see all of the content, all of the engagement on your content from one place rather than it being mixed up with all your personal stuff. And that app's just called Pages. And it's a white square with a big yellow flag right in the middle, in case any of you don't have that. And it's free. All right. Respond to reviews, I'm looking at the next slide here. Like and comment on other business accounts. This is a big deal. Jenna's very good at this. Jenna, for the Bookcase and Barber, is always commenting on other restaurants and bars or like the Taste of Durango page. It's really important, especially in a community this small, to scratch the back, like I said earlier, of other business owners. You can't send direct messages to other businesses as a business. They kind of have some restrictions on there, but if you look at a piece of content and you're seeing it in your news feed, you'll see yourself right below on the right-hand side. You'll see either yourself or your business name, and there's a little triangle to drop down, and you can choose yourself or you can choose your business, and you can like that as your business or comment on as your business. Comments are worth way more than likes. If you just like everybody's stuff, they'll think it's cool at first, but if you don't try to, like I said before, start a conversation or answer a question for people, it's going to be worth less to the user, and it's going to have less value. Any questions at this point?
Yeah, I have a question. So when you're setting up your Facebook page and you're trying to set it up for a business account, most of the time they make you associate it with a personal account as well.
Yes.
Is there a way to do that you don't have to be associated with it personally? So that way if you have an IT director or somebody who's in charge of creating your content, that if you end up in a situation where you have to terminate them or they quit, that they're not still then responsible for your Facebook page?
Yes, there is a way to do that, and that has been a big headache for a lot of people going, okay, this person left town, they were running my Facebook page and they had all of the administrator powers, and now I don't know how to get back into it. There is, if you go to the right-hand side, that drop-down menu next to your name and next to home, and you go down, that's where you'll see like create ads, manage ads. There's a little button that says Business Manager. Business Manager is a separate website where you can manage business pages. You can have it so that people can actually be administrators, but it's good to start it. You have to start the page from Facebook at first, attached to your personal account. Then you can move it over to Pages Manager. Once you open up Business Manager, you can have it brought over to your company's Business Manager profile, and then that way, if you lose your account or anything, you can still have multiple people that are running the account, so there's someone that can retrieve that information and change the administrator powers for whoever it is that's left now and may have been the original creator or the original administrator. Business Manager takes a lot more time and a lot more detail to discuss, and I was talking about it with Mary. We are planning on continuing this with some more advanced and detailed strategies, but I like that you brought that up because yes, a lot of people don't know about Business Manager. It's a whole separate site that you can manage all of your business stuff through. And the cool part about it is you can also give people very specific roles on there. So if you want someone to be able to post, but you don't want them to be able to answer your reviews or answer private messages, you can decide those things. It's awesome. All right. Respond to reviews, not just the bad ones either. A lot of people forget that. It can be really tough as a business owner to detach yourself emotionally when you see somebody just typing vitriol on your business's page and giving you a 1-star review. There is a book, you're going to want to write this down, there's a book called Everyone's a Critic, Winning Customers in a Review-Driven World by Bill Tancer, Tancer. That book helped me a lot when I was answering reviews for Steamworks and Almora. It can be really tough. You can also do a word exercise that I used to do. I would open up a Word file, and I would write all the mean and terrible things I wanted to say back to them, and then I would close that file, and then I would go back and do the answer the review like, we're so sorry that we disappointed you, and we have taken what you've said to heart, and we'll be sharing this with our management team, and we will make sure that this doesn't happen again. Now, it's impossible to make sure something like that doesn't happen ever again, but it's good that, okay, what I really want to say with reviews too is you're probably not going to be able to change the mind of the person that gave you a 1-star review and was really, really mean to you. What's really important is that the other users that see your response see that you've addressed their issue, you've apologized no matter how evil and mean what they said was, and that you plan to take steps to make sure it doesn't happen again. Those are the 3 big things you want to think about. And when I say don't just respond to the bad ones either, what I mean is every now and again, about 40-50% of the good ones, thank people and say that you look forward to seeing them again or you look forward to getting their business again. It's almost as important as responding to the bad ones. Yes, sir.
Just to add, I was looking at some reviews of a product I was thinking about.
Okay.
And I always start with the 1 star.
Yep, that's my wife does that exact same thing.
The company gave the same exact response to everybody.
Yes.
Which to me looked like, well, you're really not taking their.
Exactly.
So I would recommend, make sure you
Yes.
change it up, even if somebody's.
Personalize it a little bit. Yes, you should always personalize each one. It shouldn't look exactly the same. It shouldn't look like a robot is responding to them, because then, like I said, the people that are seeing that review are going to, like you thought, be like, oh, they don't even care about these people. And a way to kind of alleviate becoming too repetitive is to also have multiple people on your team that actually do respond to reviews. If you're going to do that, though, to make sure everybody's on the same page, put together a short list of bullet points for guidelines of exactly how you respond to those things, and make sure that if they're not the business owner or the general manager or whoever is really in charge, that if they have any issues with being uncomfortable about responding to that review, that they have to contact you first. For Yelp, there's a great resource, business.yelp.com, where you can manage your business through there. A lot of people don't want to play on Yelp because the Yelpers can be pretty mean. For the area that we're in, TripAdvisor is a good one to be on, but Google and Facebook are really big ones too. Yes, sir?
John, is there any business rules you can put in place so that if you do have like other team members that want to comment, like, can you control that? Or-
You can't necessarily control that on a lot of these platforms natively, like right on their platform. You kind of have to do it yourself. I would honestly just suggest if you're going to respond to a review, please make sure that I see it first. Send it over in an email and have an approval, and maybe have it edited just a little bit.
No automation on the platform.
No, there's no automation as of now for multiple people having different roles and multiple people, but I'm sure it's coming down soon. Online reviews, that I read a metric recently that said that 87% of people are more likely to buy a product or visit a business based on an online review than a personal recommendation. It used to be personal recommendations from friends or family members was worth its weight in gold. Not anymore. People want to see a vast amount of reviews and see what the aggregate star rating is for a place, more than they just trust somebody who's a close relative or a friend. All right. Now, the three most important things about organic social media posting that I want you guys to remember is, one, don't be afraid to fail. You're not going to get it down. You're not going to have perfect content right off the bat. You're going to have to mix it up a little bit. You're going to have to pay attention to the numbers, whatever got the most. And it's not always about what's got the most reach or the most engagement. It's always about the average amount of engagement per reach. So divide how many people engaged on your content by the amount of people that it reached. And if you're over 5%, that's actually really good. Like 1 to 3% is pretty common, but if you're over 5%, you're really doing something right. So take note of that content, and that'll help you not to fail the next time. But don't be afraid to fail. Failure is just learning, right? Right? Okay. Don't be afraid to be controversial. Now, don't go wild with this. Don't go crazy with this. It can be dicey, especially if you're a business, to be politically controversial unless it fits in with what your business does. For example, when I post things for Steamworks Brewing Company, the controversial things that I'll post are about, the big beer versus the little guy, the Budweiser Coors, the conglomerates versus the small, local, handcrafted beer. Being controversial in that way and kind of drawing a line in the sand and saying, Budweiser's garbage. People love that stuff because the people that follow are the people that like craft beer. But you don't want to be too crazy controversial about political stuff unless, let's say you're running for Congress and your Facebook page is because you're a public figure and you're a politician, then go right ahead. But don't be afraid to be controversial. Don't be afraid to draw a line in the sand. The best way to get people motivated and the best way to get people galvanized is to draw a line in the sand and say, this is us, that's them. Don't be afraid to be yourself. So many people try to be very vanilla and very approachable, and they're like, well, we don't want to upset these people, we don't want to upset these people. That goes back a little bit to being controversial. But don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to be quirky. I know everybody's their own worst critic, but don't be afraid to be quirky. Don't be afraid to throw up GIFs. You guys have seen GIFs or GIFs. They call them the little motion pictures that people can respond to. You can respond to someone's comment with something, or if it's just really funny, you can put like a picture of Steve Harvey, one of those motion pictures of Steve Harvey laughing his butt off, and that's just part of you being yourself. If you're funny, if you're not, if you're very serious, then take a super serious approach. Like for your business making caskets, you're going to have a very serious, personal, and measured approach to those people. So posting funny things, that's not you being yourself, right? Yes. Okay. All right, now we're going to move on to our third part. When you do all these organic posts and you see it's still not enough, it's still not getting your name, especially if you're a brand new business, brand awareness is a huge thing, and you're really wanting to get people to see your name, see your logo, see your face. If you're someone that just does a service, if you're a lawyer or a doctor, you're going to want them to see your face, and it's not enough, just the organic posting, because of what Facebook's algorithm has done to business owners. So part 3 is going to be about pay to play, and that's what Facebook has become. It's become a pay to play platform, very much like any kind of other advertising. this is the face that I see in many of business owners that I've worked with when they talk about paying for ads. They're like, I don't want to pay for Facebook ads. It seems complicated. Why should you consider Facebook ads? Well, Facebook and Instagram, actually, Facebook did acquire Instagram. They're owned by the same company. That's why you can deliver ads on Facebook to Instagram. When you think about Facebook by itself, it has 2.2 billion active monthly users, which is far more than almost any other two platforms combined. That's, if you take Instagram and Twitter together, they get nowhere near the amount of people that are users on Facebook. The only one that would, if you combined, would be more is YouTube. And YouTube has become the second biggest search engine after Google. People go and they look for music on there. You ask a 14-year-old now if they buy music. They don't buy music. They go find it on YouTube and they just listen to the music on the video through their phone.
And are you familiar with the numbers for YouTube?
For YouTube, I think it's, YouTube has 1.5 billion monthly active users. And and video production is something I'd love to talk about in further workshops, though, because, like I said, YouTube being the second biggest search engine on the planet means that you should probably be on there as much as possible.
What about
Yeah.
like Pandora and iHeartRadio?
So Pandora and iHeartRadio, you can explore advertising through them. You have to kind of find third-party vendors that are kind of like AdShield, if you've ever seen that. There's different vendors where you can actually have your content targeted very much like Facebook ads to specific regions. If you listen to Pandora, raise your hand if you listen to Pandora. Okay, awesome. Have you heard local radio? I hear San Juan Regional Medical Center ads all the time. When the new Goodwill opened, I heard ads for them. It is a little expensive. Honestly, they're going to be charging you about $30 per 1,000 impressions. On a local market, honestly, the radio stations here, even though they don't have Nielsen numbers because they're so small, the advertising is really cheap, and you can, depending on what your business is, know who your target demographic is. If you're a business to business, or you're the kind of people that you want to get are contractors and things like that, investing in local radio is probably a good idea, because if you guys have ever been on a construction site, there's one blasting radio on one radio station. Chances are it's going to be one of the American General Media radio stations, because they have a bunch of them, and that's how you can reach those people. For Pandora and for Spotify and iHeartRadio I haven't had too much experience with. They're so big that you have to go through them specifically. With the other ones, there are ad delivery partners that you'd have to create the content yourself, and then they'll deliver it to people based on whatever parameters that you choose: age, demographics, geography, and interests and behaviors.
Well, the reason I asked is because I coach football.
Yeah.
And we just bought a hair salon, and a lot of probably 90% of my athletes either use Pandora
Yep.
or
Wow.
iHeartRadio
Yep.
to get their music. So it's like, it seems like, especially if you want to reach a younger demographic.
Yeah. And for that younger demographic, the other thing you're fighting against is that there's no standard really. There's some people that use just Spotify or just Pandora, and honestly, if they pay that little bit of extra money for no ads on Pandora, you're missing out on all those people. Then you've got things like Tidal. Tidal is, I believe, Jay-Z's own online music platform where things go on there exclusively. There's so many options that until they come up with, honestly, because the advertising on there is still in the early stages, you might want to wait to be spending money on what we call programmatic audio. If you want to write that down, you can look it up online and learn more about it. PROGRAMMATIC. Programmatic audio. It's very similar to the way that display advertising is online, except it's for audio. Facebook ads can be delivered to Instagram. Now, this is something that a lot of business owners have told me that they didn't want to do, is start an Instagram page. They're like, I already have a bunch of followers on Facebook. Facebook's a lot different than Instagram. You can post links and share stuff from other people on Facebook very easily, but if you want to have content constantly posted to your Instagram account, you have to take a picture or create a video each time. There's no way to post links in there either to get people to your website. So the cool part about Facebook advertising is it can deliver these ads to Instagram without you even having an Instagram account. And these Instagram ads, when they show up, have a little button on them called a call to action button, and that's the only way that you can really post a link onto Instagram. Now, does anybody here, raise your hand if you use Instagram frequently? Okay, now during the holidays, how many different products that looked like exactly something that you wanted based on your search history and based on your likes and interests did you see on there with a button to shop now?
Million of them.
Million of them.
Constant.
Yeah, it depends on how much you're active on there and how many interests and behaviors. If you're really good about clearing your cookies and not letting your web history be saved in your computer, sometimes they don't deliver the ads very well to you. And you're very smart for kind of getting around any of their metrics there. But that's become one of the biggest things for people selling things online. For e-commerce, having a Facebook ad that gets delivered to Instagram that has a button where someone can go and immediately buy something. For example, I'll say, I'm a huge Denver Broncos fan, and I'm also a huge Batman nerd, as you can tell by this little logo right here. During Christmas, I got an ad that was a picture of the Denver Broncos logo inside a Batman logo. It was designed right for me, and I bought it. Of course, I went straight through and I bought it. Now, a lot of your businesses aren't e-commerce, so you're not going to be worried about that. But what I'm talking about is the value of having a link to get somebody to your website. When someone's on your website, that's traffic that you own. Someone's interested in your business. And I'm hoping that a lot of you are following the metrics on your websites using Google Analytics, or if you have a Squarespace or a Wix site, they do have metrics on there for you to see how many people are visiting your site. And they can actually show you where people are visiting from, whether they came from Facebook, whether they came from an email, whether they just came through a link, or whether they came from what's another way that they could come to you from? Search engines, whether they came to you from Google. It's a big deal. Robust targeting abilities. Raise your hand if you've actually used a Facebook ad before. Okay, not so many of you. So have any of you given it a shot, went in to make the ad, and then saw all the different things that you had to do and kind of got intimidated and freaked out? Okay, yeah, it can be pretty daunting, but the cool part about it is those are very robust targeting abilities. What social media advertising can do that the advertising you do in a newspaper or on the radio can't do is to target the people that are going to want your product or your services. We'll go into that here. Boosting, we'll go into detail about creating an ad, and I'll explain some of those bits, but first I wanted to talk about boosting versus Ads Manager. Does anybody know the difference between boosting an ad or creating an ad? The difference between those two things. Okay. All right. Facebook will frequently tell you, hey, this post is doing much better than the last one. Why don't you boost it? Honestly, they just want your money. Be careful boosting posts that Facebook suggests to you. I almost never do it. I'd only do it if I was thinking about boosting it already and then they suggested it. The suggesting from Facebook rarely has any effect on what I'm choosing to spend money on Facebook. Now, the big difference between boosting and Ads Manager is boosting is if you've got a picture of somebody in your restaurant bar or somebody that's in your business, let's say that you're at Target Rental and someone just rented a big old cat and you want to take a picture of them to show that you've got this new piece of machinery. If you're going to boost that post and there's not a link to your website or a link directly to where they can rent that, all you're really doing is looking for more likes or more comments and more engagement, and that's really just for brand awareness. When you go into Ads Manager is where you're going to be able to get trackable results for return on investment. When you create an ad from scratch, and you can choose the different kinds of ads that it should be. You can choose the call to action that you want. You can choose the audience. That's when you're looking for more trackable results for return on investment. If you're a brand new business, boosting posts that are doing well might be good for you. It might be good just to get your name and your logo out there and a really good engaging picture. But if you're already a pretty well-established business and what you're looking for is I want to put this ad up there and I want to be able to track and see how many people actually engaged with it, went to my website and possibly signed up for blank or bought blank or came into my restaurant or came into my shop and bought blank. Okay, so this is where you're going to find where you can create ads. That magical little arrow down there is where you find a lot of things on Facebook. There's managing and creating ads. So when you're going to create an ad, click on Create Ads in that menu, and it'll bring you up to this. It's very important before you just jump in and go to make a Facebook ad, know what your marketing goals are before. Discuss with your team if you have to. Figure out exactly what you want out of it. Some people just go, oh, I'm going to create an ad, and then they kind of just wing it. And they realize that didn't really fit into what the goal was for their marketing campaign. I mean, this is marketing dollars. If it was going to be a newspaper ad, would you haphazardly just jump right into it, or would you actually discuss with your team and figure out what your goal was first? Now, these are the kind of different marketing objectives. Facebook's made this a little easier than when it first came out so that you're knowing exactly what it is you want to get out of it. Like for awareness, you see brand awareness and reach. When you see those two, when you go in there, they look pretty similar, honestly, but brand awareness is they're going to get you in front of as many people who are likely to engage with your content based on their interests and behaviors that match up with your business. And for reach, they're going to get it in front of as many people as possible if you're creating that ad. So within your parameters, you know. So if you say geographic area, you want it to be La Plata County, they're only going to deliver that ad to La Plata County, but they're going to deliver it to everyone on Facebook in La Plata County. If I wanted brand awareness for, let's say, a lawn maintenance company, I would be targeting homeowners. I'd be targeting people that live a little bit off the grid, and that's what Facebook's going to already do. It's going to know that those people are people that are most likely to engage with your business. And then all these other ones, getting into the specific details for each one of these is going to take its own workshop class itself, but I want you guys to start thinking about these things, and we're really reviewing some of the basics of creating ads right now. Okay, the second part is make sure after you've figured out what your goal is, define who your target audience is. And that, you really have to think about that sometimes, and I would suggest reaching out to some of the boots on the ground people in your business to kind of get a better idea of who your customers are. Because sometimes business owners think that their customers are a different segment than their customers actually are. They don't realize that their customers have certain interests, certain behaviors, or are in a certain demographic. I mean, some people think, oh, no, 55 plus people are the only people that really patronize my business, when honestly, they do have plenty of people that are like 25 to 34 that come in there. They're just not being targeted, and they're not being delivered content, so they're not up to date on what a business is doing. So this is targeting, this is the stuff that gets people a little intimidated here. This is how you target your audience. So you can start up right here with locations, United States. You can even go down to addresses. I've done this with Karen Overington from Keller Williams, Southwest Associates. Have you ever heard of what farming is for real estate agents? How you farm a community, you go and you knock on doors and you leave little things on the doorknobs because you're saying you're going to have an open house and you want people to engage and come to your open house and check out the house even if they already live in that neighborhood. This is a way that you could help with that. She gave me a list of all of the addresses in a whole neighborhood, and we specifically targeted those addresses. And if you put in their physical address, it is linked to their IP address, which is their IP address is their internet provider address, essentially. And so you can hit people that specifically. I don't suggest it unless you already have the addresses all saved up. It'd be good. It'd be a good ad for customer retention. If you have some kind of loyalty program and you wanted to send out and you already had a ton of addresses for your customers, that can be very valuable and very specific. You're not wasting money on anybody when it's specifically going to your customers that you already have. DMA, everybody knows what a DMA is, designated market area. So I'm not sure what our designated market area is. I would say it's just Durango, but some people call it the greater Albuquerque area, which makes me crazy. Yes?
Okay, so I have a very specific question.
Okay.
My husband's business is an art business.
Okay.
They do art shows. Phoenix, Denver, Salt Lake. And so whenever I create an ad for them, I always kind of go to those big places.
Yes.
Because I know that I want the customers to see it, to live there, to come to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, you think that that's a good?
Yeah, it is. Now, are you doing it for when there's a show? Do you hit all those at once, or do you only hit the area where the show's happening?
It depends, because the other thing, like during Christmas, we're in like 5 different malls.
Okay.
All the areas.
Okay.
And then I did all of them.
Yeah, make sure that it's specific to make sure that you're only targeting an area that would really care about it. Now, if you had the show in a bunch of different malls in Phoenix, I wouldn't target Durango for it. I wouldn't target Denver. I wouldn't target any of those areas. I would only target them with stuff that is, does he sell any of the art on your website? Yes. Okay, so for hitting bigger areas like that, target the website. And then for that, you have a global audience for art right there. And then that, you wouldn't want to be too specific with the location. See, you're going to want to be specific, and you're also going to want to be broad with different versions based on the different kind of business that you have. So for ages, you could be, 18 to 65 plus is the biggest that it can be, because you're not allowed to target anybody under 18. It's all part of there's some act. You can't, which is, great. Nobody wants to be, peppering kids with sugary soda commercials and things on Facebook and stuff like that. That wouldn't really be great. You can go by languages. A lot of people forget about the Hispanic market, and if you want to create an ad that's in Spanish because you want to get more Hispanic customers, that's where you can enter the languages that you'd like to do. Now, down here's where it gets a little more crazy, the interests, behaviors, and connections. So demographics here, there's also more demographics you can go, like what education level do they have? What, you can go by what their household income is, whether they own a home, ethnic affinities. You can hit all sorts of different things here. Now, if you look, you see this little gauge over here that says specific and broad? That's a great tool that Facebook's developed to get you, based on what you're doing and based on your business, it's going to tell you exactly when your audience is defined. Now, you can still add or subtract a couple things after that, but it'll let you know if you're too broad or too specific. If you're too specific, you're not going to see a lot of return. If you're too broad, you're probably also not going to see too broad of or too much of a return, because what just happened? Oh, is that? I think that was for my buddies. Was it me in a tux? Yeah, that was me and Katie for my buddy Jake's wedding. Sorry about that. Okay. When you go down to interests, a lot of people in Durango that want to hit Durango people, they'll put interests, mountain biking, interests, hiking, things like that. Unless, I mean, if you're GameStop in Durango, you're not going to be wanting to go towards the people that like being outdoors. You're going to go for people that like Mountain Dew and they like to watch TV shows all the time, because that's your general audience for hardcore video gamers. So being specific here and knowing what it is that your customers or clients do is a big deal. And you ask yourself, well, how do I do that without just like reaching out to them? You might want to put them in, if you've got an email blast, just ask them, tell us a little bit about yourself, or maybe put in some kind of multiple choice poll on your Facebook page and say, which of these things do you like doing more? And you can kind of start to build some data sets for your, and you don't necessarily have to do that. I mean, think about it. If you're a restaurant or bar in this town, you really just want to hit a certain amount of people, because everybody likes to eat and everybody likes to drink. I would really suggest consulting a professional like myself or Tyler when you're talking about hyper-targeted stuff, very specific, especially for your casket making business. That's something that has to be really, really narrowed down, and I would say at the very least consult with a professional before spending any money on here, because Facebook, has anybody here had like really bad results from a Facebook ad? Anybody? No? So it's been phenomenal results every time? Just getting started on it. Okay, so, and a lot of you hadn't actually created one. So it is good to ask a professional. You guys all have my email address or my cell number on there. Feel free to just call and say, hey, I wanted a tip. I can't go into too much detail, but I'll be able to help you out a little bit and be like, hey, you know, I was wondering what age demographic would you do for this? Another thing people always forget is they think about the demographic of their customers right now, and they don't think about the people that they're missing out on. Paul from the Palace, his demographic is pretty much 55 plus, is all the people that constantly come into his restaurant. And so I told him, well, then that's not who we need to focus on for these advertising campaigns. We need to work on the 25 to 35 singles, or people that are dating, people that aren't married, that want to come in there for happy hour. The minute they taste those chicken and dumplings, you know you've got a customer for life. So don't forget about the customers you're missing out on. Just because you think that your business is for this age demographic doesn't mean that it doesn't also apply to several others.
What are the cost considerations that are within here, or are there none? Is it the broader, is that directly correlated with the cost of your advertising campaign? Or
it can't, and that's another thing. There's not really a set amount of what it's going to cost to target people. Generally, the more targeted that you make it, the more of these that you fill out. If it's something very crazy and you really want to link to, say, an e-commerce website, it can get a little more expensive. They don't really have a chart or anything out there, Facebook doesn't, that tells you exactly what each kind of campaign is going to cost. You'll kind of figure that out once you get to the end of it. It's been pretty frustrating, and I'm hoping that eventually they come up with like standard pricing so that you know exactly what you're getting into.
So have you seen a correlation, though, between the more specific campaigns and the more broad campaigns in price?
No, with that, honestly, that's not going to really affect it specifically. It's what the goals are and the kind of campaign that it is, what I showed you from the very beginning. Where is it going to be a reach? Is it awareness, or is it consideration, or are you trying to get conversions? When I say conversion, I mean being able to see someone clicked on your ad, went to your website, and then actually...
So that first page is really where the cost kind of...
Yeah, that's kind of where the cost... The funny thing is, though, there is no cost breakdown on that page. You click through that, it's all in the algorithm, you go through, and then it'll tell you what you're going to be paying for this ad. Facebook has a minimum of $5 a day that you need to spend on their advertising, but you can also give it a campaign length and a campaign maximum budget. That way they can spread it out, so that if you want it to run for a month, they'll do $5 a day for however many days it takes to get to whatever that month's budget was out of the total campaign budget, and deliver ads differently. The ads optimize themselves a little bit too, which is cool. They'll go during high traffic times. They'll go generally when the users that will be interested in your content are actually online, which is good because you don't want to be delivering ads on Facebook to people between the hours of midnight and 5 in the morning. Actually, it depends on what you're doing. The people that are night owls, if let's say that you're looking to hit security officers, a lot of people forget that a lot of security officers work a graveyard shift. So if you've got an e-commerce site that's selling, utility belts and flashlights and things like that, you might want to target those people at those hours because they're probably bored at their job looking at a computer because they work the graveyard shift. All right, now here's a couple audience builds that were done. So this one right here, the potential reach. Now this is much bigger than for what we're talking about in this market, but I wanted to use these as examples. There's not too many crazy details here. This is actually for digital marketing. This is something like we would create to try to get more customers to, or more clients for our business, people that are interested in advertising AdWords, Bing ads, or Facebook ads. Now, how would people know that these Facebook users are interested in these things? It's because Facebook also grabs your web history. Whatever you search for on the web, Facebook knows. And so we can target people with Facebook ads here because they've been interested in using Google AdWords or they've been interested in any kind of advertising for their business. They search those things in Google. Facebook knows those things. As long as they fit into the location and the age demographic, they're going to be delivered one of these ads. And you can see that's quite a bit of people. 11.6 million people fit into those targeted, that targeting audience right there. Over here on this side, this one's a little more specific. This is for, I would say, this could be a ladies only gym, this could be for yoga, this could be for the rec center itself. You just want to hit people in Austin, Texas between 18 and 65, so broad age demographic, whose interests are Planet Fitness, Gold's Gym. It's always good to try to hit those big names in certain businesses. So, if you want to hit people that are fans of coffee, don't just put fans of coffee. Put Starbucks, put Durango Joe's, especially if you're opening a new coffee shop, because then you're going to go after people who like those businesses specifically and might want to come over to you because they like what you do better. But you can see here the potential reach is only 58,000 people. So when you're delivering these ads, you might not have to run these ads for that long to hit all 58,000 of those people eventually. Another cool thing about the Facebook advertising is once they click on your ad, then they're going to see it more. So if someone clicks on your ad to see your website or wherever you drew them, if it was your website or you're to sign up and become one of your Instagram followers. I see people use Facebook a lot to get them to follow them on other ways, to either sign up for their email list, to follow their blog, things like that. Once they click on that ad, they're going to start to see it a little bit more. That's what we call retargeting. And it's saved in those cookies that Facebook's installed on your computer to know everything that you're doing.
So potential reach 58,000, that's 58,000 Facebook users?
Yep, that's 58,000 Facebook users that are in Austin, Texas between the ages of 18 and 65 and have all of those interests right there.
And do they have any idea what percentage of 58,000 the actual population of Austin plus 25 miles that is other than Facebook users?
No, I don't think so. Really, all the metrics they have are based on the users. And honestly, they could be missing out on some people because some people are very clandestine on social media. They don't put the town that they live in. They don't put their real name. They don't even put a picture of themselves because they want to be able to, our news feeds have been pretty active over the past couple years, right? So you've seen how people want to be anonymous on there. But I mean, those are the type of people, that's not the type of people you're going for. You're going for the type of people that engage on Facebook and that you can track and that you can deliver these ads to. Those are the valuable people. So 58,000, that's quite a bit. And if you give those, so I'm imagining that this ad too probably had a call to action button that said, learn more. Someone clicks on it, goes to their website and can sign up to get a tour. I mean, have you guys ever signed up for a new gym? Before you do that, you want to kind of take a tour and you go into the front, you meet with somebody and you walk around and you see everything but they've got you now. Once you go and do that, they're probably going to ask you for your phone number or your email address so that they can, call you later on down the road or send you an email and get you into an email sequence to try to sign up with their gym. All right, now we're going to go through some examples here. We're running out of time, but I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. Is anybody really on a schedule or have 5 extra minutes? Okay, cool. I wanted to go through some best practices and show you some really good ads on Facebook. So a lot of people don't realize that you don't want to, if you ever see a Facebook ad that has a full essay written on it, that person failed miserably. You want to be short, clear, and to the point. It's like a lot of other advertising. You have to grab people quickly, and you have to know exactly what it is that you're saying and know exactly what you want out of the ad. So you can see right here, where else can you sell online, accept payments, and manage your finances all in one convenient place? Minimalist approach here to the logos, nothing too crazy, and not a whole lot of copy down here in the headline or the description, and I'll go through what these things are. So when you see what the text is for an ad, the text is what actually shows up like it would be a normal post. Where your text would show up in a normal post is what the text of the ad is. That should be somewhere between 10 and 20 words. Don't go past 20, you're gonna lose people. You figure out a way to truncate what you want to get across. And it always helps. When I have that problem, I just get another set of eyes on it. I text it to a friend of mine or to Tyler and I go, how would you shorten this? Because I, for the life of me, can't figure out how to do it. The headlines right here, underneath there, that should be only 3 to 5 words. That shouldn't be very long at all. You want it to just grab them and you want it to be clear. Then the link description, that essentially describes what this link, so someone's going to click on this, what they're in for, what they're going to get when they actually click through to it. And that shouldn't be more than 18 words. That one can be longer. That's where if you've already got somebody from the top down here and they're already looking at this ad, by the time they decide that they're going to read that link description, you have a little bit more time and patience in that user to actually communicate more to them. But still, keep it below 18 words. Here's another great ad for Drip from Load Pages. So can anybody point out what a really great part of this ad is?
I wonder what she's looking at.
Right, there you go. And how is she feeling? She's happy. Happy humans. Happy humans are a big, big deal when it comes to online advertising. Secondly, it's a high quality photograph. You don't want to take I've had this with a friend of mine who's a plumber. His phone right here is just covered in dust. So every photo taken kind of looks like you're watching a soap opera from the 60s. It's that soft focus, really bad. That's not a high quality photo. When I say high quality photographs, I'm not saying that you have to be a professional photographer, but it should be a clear photograph. Maybe you run a couple filters on it, and it should be engaging. It can't be just a throwaway photo. It can't be super dark or overly exposed. Our phones are amazing now. They take really good photos. So just make sure you're using a high quality photograph in your ad. Go back to what I said before, happy humans. Someone wants to be able to put themselves, seeing another human being enjoying the product or service, people put themselves in their shoes and they want to do that. That's what I see with a lot of restaurants and stuff. If you look at a restaurant ad, those TV ads for the Olive Garden, it's always people like, oh yes, wonderful, drinking wine, clinking. That's because they want the person watching it to put themselves in their shoes and they want to go and they want to get the unlimited breadsticks, salad, and soup.
So these photos and everything, are the meta tags, are these kind of, is that kind of all inside of your, in Facebook and the web?
The photo itself, so no, the photo
that the website, I mean, that the Facebook grabs to your meta tag.
No, you can put custom photos in here.
Oh, you
You just choose. It's not. That's why creating ads in Ads Manager is so different than just boosting a link that you want to post it. When you go post a link, you can't always customize what the photo is. When you're building these in Ads Manager, you can have that. You can also have 3 other photos. You can say, I want this ad to be delivered to a bunch of people, but it'll have different photos. With a different photo, they think they're seeing a different ad when it's all really the same campaign. Okay. And there's no metadata like there is on a website where you can put alt attributes and then you want to make sure that the file name matches up to what the photo actually is. This is just honestly for the ads. You can put whatever photos you want in there and it's not going to necessarily be. Yep. Very, very simplified, which is what's really cool about it. Now, you've heard me say call to action button before, and I apologize if you didn't know what that was, but that's what that little button is right there. It can say sign up, it can say learn more, it can say buy now. There's a bunch of different options. It all really depends on what you're trying to do with it. And like I said before, if a lot of your businesses don't have a way for people to buy things or sign up for things online, then a lot of this is going to be about learn more. Bring them to a dedicated landing page on your website that's just designed for the people that see this ad. Has everybody ever heard of landing pages or explored landing pages? Awesome, cool. Sometimes I say that to people and it's just like, whoosh, don't know what I'm talking about, so I'm glad that you guys all know that. The call to action button is a big deal. It's really what you want them to do, what you want out of the ad. People are going to click that if this pertains to them and they want to buy your product or service. Now, creative image examples right here. This is a really good one because It's minimalism. Minimalism is all the rage these days. A lot of people still are trying to do these 3D images or images that look 3D. Really flat images that are, two-dimensional and minimalist like this with this kind of color. This is grabbing people's attention, especially the younger crowd these days, and that's what's really great about this Zendesk ad. Also, people know exactly what the product is. You're not trying to give someone the runaround. You're not trying to get them engaged in one thing and then they find out, oh, I didn't want to engage with this. This is something totally different. People know exactly what the product is. Don't be afraid to just tell them exactly what it is that you want them to know about. This image here, what do you think's one of the biggest pluses for this ad? Anybody?
20% off.
20% off, yes. Simple, well, okay, I'm doing this backwards. But it's simple, high quality graphic design right there. But also the numbers and percentages. People love numbers and percentages. They want to, don't be afraid to just tell them exactly what the value that they're going to be getting out of engaging with this ad or being part of your promotion is. For restaurants, bars, or let's say salons, things like that, service-based businesses, having someone be able to follow this ad to your website where they can get a code or they can print out a coupon to try to get 20% off, that is very, 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 very valuable for people. People want to see a % off. People want to see a number, or you can tell them 2 for 1, or you can tell, and using numbers and percentages is going to help you kill it on a social media ad every time.
Is it common to have like the graphic clickable, or is it?
So that whatever's in that image is going to be clickable. They can click on that image if they want. You've also seen other ones that are a slider of images. And with those sliders, you can even have, what you can't do is you can't have different call to actions for each slide, which I've sent 4 emails to Facebook over the last year telling them that they should do that and that I'm a digital marketer and we'd love to see that. But pretty much everything there is clickable. You click anywhere in that square all the way down to where you see the HubSpot link, it's clickable. So I mean, with this, you don't even need to create a call to action button. It could never hurt. If I was this marketer, if I was HubSpot, I would have put a call to action button on there anyway. Just the more ways that you can get somebody to click on it, the better, honestly.
When you do have a call to action button, if you click outside anywhere besides the call to action button, does it take you still to the
Nope.
call to action button?
Nope, you'll still be able to click it. Yeah. Questions?